What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Rage in a Cage with Bam Bam and Schwaggs. I'm your host, Frank BamBam Horak. With me, as always, my co-host, Mikey Schwaggs.
Yeah. Hey Frank, how's it going? And with us as always, producing Mark Wahlberg's long lost half brother, Tough Tony.
Hey.
What's up there, Tony?
What's going on, guys?
How's it going over there, Tough Tony?
All right.
I hear you got a couple announcements to make.
Yeah, I got announcements to make.
All right, let's
All right, let's hear them then.
We were last weekend. All of us, after the show, we went out to Cairns and Westbury. We had a good time.
Yes, we had a great time.
Nice
Great
time.
establishment.
Nice local watering hole.
If that's what you want to call it.
Sure, why not?
Well, that's what the
And,
old people call it these days.
Yeah, right, Frank? So, we had a wonderful waitress. Her name was Kim Balderas.
How you doing?
Yes, she was a great waitress.
She was. She wound up playing Twister with our boy over there, Mikey Schwaggs.
Yes.
We had a good time.
And I would actually like a rematch in that Twister game because I wasn't prepared. I didn't get to stretch properly or anything. And I haven't played Twister since I was 5, so
You heard it here first. Calling her out, man. Calling her out.
calling you out.
That's it. So, we're going to be working with Cairns, too, try and get little promotional events going for our show over there. And,
Yeah, we're trying to get some publicity out there with cans and everything. You know, they have the UFC events when they're on pay-per-view.
Yes, they do.
They order them. So, we're going to try and go there and, promote our show with the UFC events. And, try and make a name for ourselves out there.
Absolutely.
yeah, that's what we're going to do. And also, again, I'd like to remind everybody about our Facebook, which is Rage in the Cage 6, and that's the number 6. And follow us on Twitter, which is the same thing, Rage in the Cage 6.
Yes, and also we have a Gmail where you can
Gmail.
send in your questions,
Questions,
comments,
yes.
anything about the
anything.
show.
Just wanna
you
give us,
you got any
anything you wanna talk
ideas?
about. Exactly. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Send us
there.
anything in rageinthecage6@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to answer your questions and comments throughout the show.
All right, what are we going to be talking about today, guys?
And
we
let's
got
get right to it. We're going to
Couple
break
of
down.
great fight cards. We had UFC on FX2
That was a good
in
one.
Sydney, Australia.
Yes, it was.
And
good card.
It was. A lot, some controversy.
Oh, yes, definitely
We'll
some
talk about
controversy
that.
with that flyweight tournament, and a great fight, great main event fight.
Yes, it was.
So let's
let's
get
get
right
right
into
into
it.
it.
Alrighty. First matchup of the night: Costas Konstantinos Philippou versus Court the Crusher McGee. What a match!
It was. It was a very good fight. We both agreed that Philippou had the advantage stand up. I had McGee winning because I figured as it went later into the fight, he was going to be able to take the fight to the ground. But Philippou did a great job of takedown defense. I believe he stuffed, 8 takedowns?
Yes, he stuffed
takedown attempts?
eight of his takedown
Yeah,
attempts.
so very impressive by Philippou. His best performance since he's been in the UFC.
By far.
Showed, his great. You knew he had the great stand-up. He showed great takedown defense. He nailed McGee with a lot of power punches.
Yeah.
To McGee's credit, though, as we said, he has a great chin. Was able to take him, got the fight to a decision, but pretty much when he went to decision, he knew who was going to win the fight.
Yeah.
Philippou was a pretty much clear-cut decision, but it was a good battle. McGee held his own, but Philippou was very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. We said that he would. It would come down to the battle on the feet, and Costas handled McGee on the feet. McGee was throwing punches, but Costas would answer with 3 or 4 punches. Every time he threw one, he landed with 4. And like you said, McGee wasn't able to get the fight to the ground, which he's known for. He's known for his ground and pound,
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
relentless approach. He made it interesting in the 3rd round.
It did, yeah,
Made
absolutely.
it a little interesting. He was going for broke basically. He knew he had to. He was
absolutely.
throwing
Down 2 rounds. He had
throwing
to do.
spinning back kicks,
Yeah.
like spinning elbows and everything. And I thought it was interesting. Ray Longo, one of the trainers for Philippou, I heard him in the corner through between rounds, and he was saying to Philippou, "You got to find McGee's chin." He had the huge beard, so
The big beard, yeah.
it had to have been tough to find this guy's chin.
Beard or without beard, though, McGee actually has the great chin, though.
Oh, yeah,
to
obviously.
Philippou's credit, though, won the fight. I like to see Philippou now move up. I'd like to see a nice striker versus striker matchup for Philippou's next fight. I'd like to see maybe against Kung Lee.
Kung Lee, that's a good matchup. I like that. You got Kung Lee. I got maybe facing the winner of Brian Stan Alessio Sakara.
I could see that also.
I'd like to see
absolutely.
him take a step up in competition.
Yeah, after that performance, we always knew he was a great striker. That you knew that going in, that was obvious. But it was, could he have the takedown defense? He was
Yeah.
going against a very good guy who, could take. He loves to do the ground and pound, has great takedowns, and he's, stuffed them. Looked very impressive. So yeah, I'd like to see him take a step up. And yeah, Kung Lee or the winner of Stan Sakara makes sense also.
And now for McGee, he takes a step back.
Thanks, yeah, step back.
I mean,
but again,
he's still
held
He's
his own, went
yeah.
to a close decision.
He's a good fighter. He's like
Yeah,
we said, he's an
first
Ultimate
loss
Fighter
in
winner.
the UFC, so 3-1 now. I have to see him against a guy like Ronnie Marcus.
Ronnie Marcus.
That makes sense to me.
I actually like that matchup too. Or maybe Damian Maia. I think that would be a good
also, yeah.
striker versus grappler match. But who knows how that's gonna go for him?
Who knows? Right? That's good.
Yeah, we don't know. Only
We don't know.
only Dana White and
Joe Silva.
know
That's it. But those
who
are
his
some,
next
those are
fight's
some
gonna
good
be.
matchups. So let's start talking about this flyweight tournament.
All right, yes, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding this first matchup. First with the initial decision, you had Demetrius Johnson versus Ian McCall.
Yep.
Johnson was awarded the split decision.
Yeah, it was a great fight. It was a great back and forth. When it said split decision, I personally thought it was a draw that should have went to that fourth round that we were talking about. But yeah, when it went to a split decision, Johnson, obviously, the crowd was against it. McCall, stormed out of the octagon. He was obviously against it. I didn't, I definitely thought it was a draw. I thought it should have definitely, but if it was going to go split decision, if it went to McCall, I wouldn't have thought it was a big deal. If it went to Johnson,
That's
same thing.
You could argue either fighter
one,
getting
but
the
it definitely
victory.
should have went to that sudden death fourth round. It was obviously a miscalculation.
Absolutely, and
One judge had it 10-8 for McCall, but it got scored 10-9, so then it went to a split decision for Johnson.
I don't understand how that happens.
Yeah,
like how you screw
it's
up.
inexcusable. It should not have happened. I mean, the gentleman that made the mistake, he took, to his credit.
He took all responsibility.
Yeah, took all responsibility, put the blame on him, said, well, it wasn't any of the judge's fault. It was completely his fault. But especially in this type of tournament thing, that's something like that should never happen.
Right. Like you institute the new sudden death rule, and then you don't even use it when you were supposed to be using it.
That's a shame because that was it was a great fight, and then if going to that sudden death fourth round, it would have been awesome.
Oh,
but
yeah.
at least now, it's not like Johnson was declared the winner, but that now has been changed. It's been ruled a draw.
And it's
These
a rematch.
guys are going to rematch now. So it should be a good fight. The only problem with that is, Dana White was trying to get this flyweight tournament going and getting it done quickly to get the first ever champion crown with only being a 4-person tournament.
Yeah.
Now you have to sit around for this rematch. Hopefully now there's no injuries in training or anything like that to delay it even further.
It's just it's a little ridiculous how that happens.
Yeah, it's a shame because, like we said, it was a great fight, great back and forth fight. I had Johnson winning the first 2 rounds, and then McCall really took over. Then
turned it on at the third.
Dominated in the third round. I had him winning like that judge had it scored. I had him winning 10-8, and then Johnson winning those other 2 rounds 10-9. So yeah, it should have been a draw.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely should have been a draw.
But the one thing with McCall at the end of that third round, though, when he was in the dominant, he was on the.
He couldn't finish it.
He could have, but he was shouting to the crowd, trying to play. I think you should try to focus because who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know how many of those shots are actually landing and were actually being effective. Because even Johnson said at the end, he wasn't really hurt. But who knows? Fighters could just say that. But he was more pumping up the crowd, waving his hands around.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Just try to finish the fight.
Especially in a fight where you think that you're losing, you want to finish the fight
absolutely.
instead
of playing it up to the
playing
crowd,
with the
trying
crowd.
to get
That's
them
just
to clap. So that part didn't really make sense. Hopefully now he'll learn from that.
That shows some inexperience.
Yeah, that was a mistake in my view. But yeah, at least now it goes to a rematch. Who knows? It hasn't been determined yet the date of the rematch, but hopefully they get it going soon.
Yeah, it should be
but
a great
it was
rematch.
A great fight. There's no question about it.
Absolutely a great fight. And now let's get into the second fight of that flyweight tournament. Joseph Benavidez versus Yasuhiro Urashitini. That name is tough to say.
Nice.
But you nailed it. And that fight, though, pretty much went as expected. Benavidez,
that's exactly what I have in my first line.
You like that. And then, he controlled the fight, used the speed, had the power, and it just showed that 125 is perfect.
He looked great at 125. He really did.
That's a blessing that they now have this weight class for him because that's absolutely the perfect weight class for him.
He has to. He barely cuts any weight for that weight class. So
and he looked great with the speed and power. He used angles very nicely on.
He had great footwork in that fight.
Absolutely.
He was using so many angles, and Urashitini wasn't able to hit him at all. Really,
no.
He couldn't find his chin on the feet.
He did a great job of controlling that fight and got the second round finish. Now, unfortunately for him, though, now he's got a long wait. We'll see now what happens. Hopefully, the winner now of the rematch. There's no serious injuries or anything where it can go because as you look in Strikeforce. With that heavyweight tournament, that's been dragged on.
That's been going on for a year now.
Yeah, forever, because now they're waiting for Cormier to get healthy with his broken hand. So hopefully now
they just actually set that.
No injuries
that match is set up. That
in
heavyweight
May,
May.
I believe, right there.
So that's
we'll
looking
see,
forward to
yeah,
that.
Benavidez is going to be waiting a while, but it was no matter who he's fighting though, it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, no matter who he's fighting, it's definitely going to be a great fight. I couldn't understand what you were trying to say.
Nice analysis.
Thank you.
But
that's what I'm here for.
Like you said, he really used his angles, his speed and power to pretty much dominate Urashitini in that fight. And in my opinion, he looked the most dominant of any flyweight fighter that night.
Absolutely.
All right, Frank. What is wrong with
There's
you?
not a lot
Thank
to
you.
compare. All right.
All right, let's get into the main event now.
Talk about it. A great main event.
Thiago the Pitbull Alves versus Martin the Hitman Campman. And this was a doozy.
It was a very good back and forth fight. Both guys landed some big
Who
shots.
says doozy?
I don't know. I just thought of
I
that.
tried to talk over.
I
it,
just
keep
thought
it
of that
moving.
after.
I expect that from Frank, but
It
not
was
you.
Come on.
it was a barn burner. How about that?
Okay.
Does that work better?
I like that.
All right.
It was a great back and forth fight. Both guys landed big shots. Both guys having looking like they could finish the fight. Had their opponent in trouble.
Yeah.
It was a good back and forth fight. Alves though was definitely winning that fight going into the third, and he was less than a minute away from winning the decision.
And he got
He
caught.
got caught. I don't know why he went. He had Campman a little hurt, and he went for the takedown. Not sure why he did it. Same thing. Campman in the first round had Alves hurt
And he went
and
for
went
the
for a
takedown.
takedown, which made no sense to me either. But Alves went for the takedown, and he paid for it. But Campman put him in a great guillotine.
Yeah.
Got the tap out. I think it was like 47 seconds left in
Yeah,
the fight.
Campman's got a very underrated jiu-jitsu game.
Absolutely.
And he showed it. He was able to get that neck and hang on and get the comeback victory, basically, because, like you said, he was being dominated by Alves in those first 2 rounds.
I wouldn't go say dominant.
All right, I wouldn't say
He was-
dominant. On the feet, though, he was
He was
dominated.
losing the fight, though. There's no question about it. But
We had Campman. This fight, we viewed it as Campman having the advantage in the striking over Alves.
yeah, I thought he was the more
Precise.
polished striker. He was going to use the clinch.
He
with
did
his
use
knees.
he used
He
his
did.
clinch game pretty well, but Alves was able to handle him on the feet, in my opinion, and he outstruck him in that fight.
We definitely got, like I said, he was definitely winning the card. I wouldn't say like dominating, but Alves, though, we talked about his cardio being a factor. He looked in much better condition, much better shape. And yeah, he was like I said, less than a minute away from getting a big decision victory, moving up in that welterweight division. But now, big win for Campman. You look at his second win in
Huge
a row.
win.
You look at a couple of his losses were really close, so he's right up there now.
Oh yeah, he's always been up in the top tier of the welterweights.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, there's big questions now. If GSP is he going to come back? How healthy is he? And most likely, it looks like Condit's going to be waiting for GSP. So then I would like to see Campman then fight Ellenberger, since Ellenberger doesn't have an opponent now. I think that match makes sense.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason then GSP doesn't come back on time and Condit ends up fighting Ellenberger, then I could see maybe him fighting the winner of
Hendricks,
Koscheck,
Koscheck.
Hendricks.
That's
That
what I
makes
got,
sense
too.
also. But it looks like though GSP will be fighting Condit, so then I could see him fighting Ellenberger.
Yeah, as the Campman and Ellenberger maybe as your next number 1 contender for that GSP Carlos Condit matchup. I agree. I think that would be
I
a
don't
good
think
matchup for him.
Alves' stock though drops too
No.
much with that loss. I like to see him fight maybe a guy like a Diego Sanchez.
I love it. That's what I got
That'd be an
too.
exciting fight,
I
absolutely.
think that would be definitely
Even
be up there for fight of the
Akiyama
year.
wouldn't be a terrible matchup for him either. But yeah, Diego Sanchez though against Alves, that would be I think fight of the year type of contender.
Yeah, absolutely. They both got a relentless pace, and we know Diego's got cardio for days, but
Yeah.
Alves showed he had some pretty good
No,
cardio in
his
that fight.
conditioning has gotten better, so there's no question about it. That's been a big knock on him, but he said he's been more dedicated. He has a whole new training how he does it. So no, he's been much better.
Yeah, and that was actually the first submission loss for Alves in 7 years.
Yeah.
His last submission loss was to Spencer Fisher in 2005. And another interesting stat is Campman. He's now 4-2 in fights in which he's outstruck by the opponent. He's got 4 victories in which he's outstruck, and he's got 2 losses in which he outstrikes the opponent. It's crazy.
It is.
It
Crazy.
all comes down to takedowns and other stuff is factored in. You
And
can't only
also,
factor
you
in the
don't want
strikes.
You don't want it to go to the judges. Don't ever
You
let it go to the judges.
never want it to. You see it.
Perfect example.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
You see controversial decisions that you think would go another way, they went this way. You don't want to leave it in the
Right,
judges.
that's why you look at the majority of the top guys, the majority of the champions, the
Finishers.
majority of the top contenders are all finishers, and
Finishers.
that's what you got to be in the sport. You cannot let it go to the judges.
Yep.
So, all right, we're going to wrap this first segment up. That was the UFC on FX2. When we come back, we got the Strikeforce event to talk about.
Tate
A
Rousey.
great women's title fight. So,
What a fight that was.
We'll be right back.